Elections are less than a month away. You must stay informed of the latest as the elections draw near. Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News on TV1, bringing you the news from the news desk. I am Sandro Sathajit. First, your headlines.
Political group and election monitors summoned to the NEC for talks on the local government election. No funds for ballot papers. Political groups say unacceptable. Ballot paper for postal voting currently being printed, says trade union at government printer. Government has no intention of delaying the election, reassures cabinet spokesperson. Japanese grant of $38 million for Sri Lanka's health service.
Sri Lanka's election headquarters.
Now to your news in detail. The secretaries of the political parties that will be contesting for the upcoming local government election have been summoned for a meeting at the National Election Commission on Tuesday. Chairman of the National Election Commission, Attorney Nimal Punjiheva, speaking to Newsfirst, said that the current state of affairs surrounding the election will be discussed at the meeting. Election monitors have also been summoned for this meeting, he added.
A spokesperson for the National Election Commission stated that the government printer has informed in writing that the ballot papers required for postal voting cannot be delivered if payments are not made. The spokesperson said during previous elections there was never an instance where payments were made for the printing of ballot papers ahead of the election. The source said that during those elections the payment was made after the election. Commissioner General of Elections Saman Sriratnayaka told Newsfirst on Monday that the funds required for the local government election are yet to be provided to the National Election Commission. Trade unions attached to the government printer said that the ballot papers required for postal voting are being printed. Chairman of the government printers General Trade Union Nihal Chandrasiri told reporters that even though funds are not provided to print the ballot papers, the trade union members will continue to print the ballot papers. Political parties have said that it is unacceptable for authorities to claim they have no funds to print the ballot papers required for the upcoming local government election. General Secretary of the United People's Freedom Alliance, Tilanga Sumatipala, stated that failure to provide funds for an election that has already been announced is a violation of the country's constitution. He said that legal action can be instituted against state officials over the matter. General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Dayasiri Jayasekara, told Newsfirst that immediate legal action must be taken over such attempts. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa says that all forces must be united against the government's attempts to delay the election. In a statement, the opposition leader said that the government, with no mandate, is afraid of going ahead with the election. Sajith Premadasa noted that the government had not abandoned its attempts to delay the election and has tried to do so on 22 separate attempts. He said that legal action will be instituted against all those involved in the conspiracy to delay the election and the maximum punishment will be given to them by the law. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa on Monday tweeted that the government's attempts to delay the elections and subvert democracy are a blatant attack on all Sri Lankans' rights and our nation's integrity. He said that democracy is not a privilege, it is a fundamental right. We will not stand idly by while the government undermines the people's will and threatens our country's future. We demand immediate action to ensure free and fair elections and the protection of our democracy, he added.
Cabinet spokesperson Minister Bandulu Gunawardena told Newsfirst that the government has no intention of delaying the elections.
තැපැල් ඡන්දේ 22 23 පැවැත්වීමට සූදානම් කරලා තියෙනවා. නමුත් රජයේ මුද්‍රණාලාධිපතිතුමා කියනවා ඡන්ද පත්‍රිකා මුද්‍රණය කිරීමට රජයෙන් මෙතෙක් මුදලක් ලැබිලා නැහැ කියලා. දැන් ඔබ වගකීතු අමාත්‍යවරයෙක් විදියට ජනතාවට සඳහන් කරන්න පුළුවන්ද ඇත්තටම මේ ඡන්දේ තියෙනවද ඡන්දේ තියන්නේ නැද්ද කියලා?
කිසිසේත් ඡන්දේ නොතිබීමේ අදහසක් රජයට නැහැ.
We have no intention of delaying the election. The current financial status is being made available every month and how those funds will be utilized.
ලැබුණ මුදල කොතරම්ද? ඒ මුදල වියදම් කරන්නේ කවර අරමුණු සඳහාද කියලා.
On to other news in detail now. Sri Lanka will be attending the IMF-led sovereign debt roundtable later this week.
Sri Lanka is to attend a virtual meeting of a new sovereign debt roundtable meeting led by the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank and India. Officials from China, India, Saudi Arabia and Group of 7 nations will participate in the meeting on Friday the 17th. The roundtable will include officials from countries that have requested debt treatments under the Group of 20 Common Framework, Ethiopia, Zambia and Ghana, as well as middle-income countries such as Sri Lanka, Suriname and Ecuador, which have faced their own debt crises. The meeting will be co-chaired by the IMF, the World Bank and India, the current leader of the Group of 20 finance officials, and comes a week before G20 finance officials are due to gather in Bengaluru, India from the 23rd to the 25th of February, with an in-person meeting of the roundtable expected on the 25th of February. The roundtable will include the Paris Club of official creditors and private sector participants, the Institute of International Finance and 2 private sector financial institutions that have asked not to be identified.
Meanwhile, Cabinet spokesperson Minister Bandula Gunawardena told reporters that the Japanese government has decided to award a grant of $38 million for an uninterrupted essential and emergency health service. Japan's economic and social development program to Sri Lanka, considering the current situation in Sri Lanka, has decided to award $38 million for an uninterrupted essential and emergency health service. This is to purchase diesel. The cabinet was informed by the president that an additional 10 billion rupees will be made available to the cabinet was informed by the president that an additional 10 billion rupees will be made available to the health ministry.
Another public rally of the Srilankanbeauty was held in Puttalam under the leadership of opposition leader Sajith Premadasa yesterday.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ රට කාපු පොහොට්ටුවේ 134ක් එක්ක වෙලා
The 134 MPs from the SLPP who destroyed the country now have formed a party with the elephant and the crow. The elephant, crow and flower bud are there. There are no changes. Still the country is governed by the Rajapakshas. Why aren't the people who took this country to bankruptcy not brought before the law? I assure under the governance of Srilankanbeauty, we will bring the people who forced the country to bankruptcy will be brought before the law.
සමගි ජන බලවේග රජයක් තුල අනිවාර්යෙන්ම රට බංකොලොත් කරපු හොරු රැළ අධිකරණය හමුවට නීතිය හමුවට ගෙනෙනවාමයි.
Meanwhile, the Department of Immigration and Immigration said that the process of issuing passports will recommence on Tuesday. And Harsha Ilukpitiya, the Controller General of Immigration and Immigration, told Newsfirst that system issue, which was experienced on Monday, has been rectified. Passport services at the Department of Immigration and Immigration were delayed on Monday due to a system issue. A large number of people who visited the department to obtain single-day services with regard to their passports were severely inconvenienced by this delay. The passports for applications submitted on Monday will be issued after noon on Tuesday. Those who cannot visit the department and obtain their passport will have their passports sent by courier to their residences. 3 leading local car dealers have decided to recall a large number of vehicles over faulty airbags and for upgrades. Now, the Commissioner General of the Department of Motor Traffic, Nishanta Anuruddha Veerasinghe, told Newsfirst that discussions are underway with all other dealers to rectify the faulty airbag issue.
Millions of vehicles ranging from a variety of makes and models across the world are being recalled due to faulty airbags made by a Japanese auto parts maker. The Commissioner General of the Department of Motor Traffic, Nishanta Anuruddha Veerasinghe, told Newsfirst that vehicles that fall under the recall category are currently in use in Sri Lanka. He said that a special meeting will take place on Tuesday with local car dealers to address the issue. It has now been confirmed that vehicles with defective airbags that can increase the risk of injury, fail to protect occupants, or cause a driver to crash have been sold across the world, and these include sedans and SUVs. Although vehicles belonging to the relevant make and models have been recalled overseas to rectify the issue, in Sri Lanka those vehicles continue to operate in the streets. The Commissioner General of the Department of Motor Traffic, Nishanta Anuruddha Veerasinghe, said that local vehicle importers have decided to recall 47 vehicle models with faulty airbags in order to rectify the issue.
In tragic news, 2 Sri Lanka Army intelligence personnel were arrested by Sri Lanka police over the death of a woman who died due to gunshot injuries in Vanathamulla, Barella. Now, the tragedy was recorded on CCTV cameras in the area, and due to the graphic nature of the event, viewer discretion is advised. A fatal shooting took place on Monday night in Halgahakumbura, which is located within the Barella police jurisdiction. The victim of the tragedy was a 25-year-old woman who was living in the area. Sri Lanka police said that a weapon had discharged when the military personnel attempted to detain a suspect and shot and injured the woman.
We came here to collect food. We were making some jokes while waiting for the food. Then 2 men came here and handcuffed a young boy who was also close to us. They beat him and took him away. At once I screamed and one man had a pistol in his hand. A shot rang out and it struck our knees.
Locals immediately rushed the woman injured in the shooting to the hospital. However, Sri Lanka police said that she had already died while en route to hospital. Police spokesperson SSP Nihal Thaldua also commented on the incident.
යුද්ධ හමුදා නිලධාරීන් දෙදෙනෙක් මද්ද්‍රව්‍ය සම්බන්ධව ලැබුණු තොරතුරකට ඒ ස්ථානයක් පරීක්ෂා කරන්න ගිහිලා සැකකරුවෙක් යම් කිසි ආකාරයක අත්අඩංගුවට ගැනීමට උත්සාහ කළා තියෙනවා. ඒ අවස්ථාවේදී
2 military personnel had visited a location based on information received over the possession of drugs. An arrest was being made. And during that process, a weapon had discharged and the bullet had struck a woman who was nearby. The 2 military personnel were arrested by the Barella police. Military intelligence personnel working on drug smuggling work closely with police to ascertain information. An investigation is underway to determine the facts with regards to the incident.
සාමූහිකව කටයුතු කරනු ලබනවා. මෙවැනි අවස්ථාවක තමයි මේ සිදුවීම සිද්ධ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. කෙසේ වුවත් මේ සිද්ධිය කුමක්ද මේ හරියට තහවුරු කර ගැනීම සඳහා අවශ්‍ය විමර්ශන කටයුතු මේ වන විට සිදු කරනු ලබනවා.
The Flight of Independence from the 17th of February.
Moving on to news overseas, New Zealand declared a national state of emergency for only the 3rd time in its history on Thursday as Cyclone Gabrielle caused widespread flooding, landslides and huge ocean swells.
About 225,000 people were left without electricity in the country. Storm Gabrielle was around 160 kilometers southeast of Auckland yesterday, near the east coast of the country's North Island, and is expected to continue moving southeast, roughly parallel to the coast. Weather warnings remain in place for much of the east coast of the North Island and Upper South Island. Kieran McAnulty, Minister of Emergency Management, said that while New Zealand was now through the worst of the storm, more rain and high winds were expected. In New Zealand's largest city, Auckland, authorities earlier evacuated people from 50 homes around a 30-meter high tower that was in danger of collapse, local media reported. Dozens of evacuation centres have also been set up in the city. The country was suffering from extensive flooding, landslides and damage to roads and infrastructure, he added. Transmission companies around the country are reporting damage to substations and power networks. Energy Minister Megan Woods said that around 225,000 people were without electricity.
On to news in Europe now. NATO members and Ukraine's other allies are meeting at the alliance's headquarters on Tuesday to drum up more weapons and ammunition for the war-torn country.
Ukraine's allies are in a race against time to produce enough ammunition, fuel and spare parts to thwart an offensive by Russian forces that NATO's chief says is already underway. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg has again urged Ukraine's Western allies to ramp up their military support. Asked Monday when he expects Russia's so-called spring offensive to begin, Stoltenberg said the reality is that we have seen the start already. Stoltenberg said NATO sees no sign whatsoever that Russian President Vladimir Putin is preparing for peace, and arming Ukraine more quickly could save lives by bringing a quicker end to the conflict.
The most important message is that we see no sign whatsoever that President Putin is preparing for peace.
On to sports news now. India batter Smriti Mandhana was the most expensive buy at the inaugural Women's Premier League auction in Mumbai, going to Royal Challengers Bangalore for Indian rupees 3.4 crore. That is approximately $415,000 US.
Oh, that's a lovely start from Adam Padu. What a glorious shot.
Among other surprise overseas omissions of the auction were former New Zealand captain Susie Bates, Sri Lanka captain Chamariyatapattu, South Africa captain Zoon Luss and Australian Megan Shutt. The omission of Chamariyatapattu has been a topic widely discussed among the cricket fraternity as a hard-hitting left-hand batter from Sri Lanka failed to attract a franchise. She is one of the three batters to have scored a T20 international century from an Asian country, that too against Australia in Sydney. She also played a pivotal role with the bat scoring 68 runs or 50 deliveries to beat the host South Africa in the ongoing T20 International World Cup. This was just a day before the auction. The inaugural season of the Women's Premier League will be contested by 5 franchises from March 4 to the 26th, with all 22 matches being held in the Brabourne Stadium in Mumbai and the D.Y. Patil Stadium in Navi Mumbai.
That's all the news for now. Await the brief at 30 throughout the evening for more news in brief. Bringing you the news from the news desk, I am Sandro Satyajit signing off. Have a beautiful day.
ඇත්ත කෙටියෙන් දත්ත වැඩියෙන් සයිබර් අවකාශයේ කළඹන වුවත් සලකුණ Newsfirst YouTube channel අදම subscribe කරන්න.